with widows. Date May 29, 2022. Venue Amakom Adventist Church, Kumasi.
Adofonu woyen Eradi Yesu Kristo. Mabamo nche ene day ede adestrede esronko ena enam. Bua sa dwumadi. Sentuma baako mienu miensa ena wo a fabra numbers a edidi so wetimi afaso ede wo mo a aba 0244 855230 ena 0244224262. Nyame nhyira samobeyesa.
Let us support now. Hope Channel, changing lives.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are welcome to the consulting room. It's been a long break, yes, but then it was very needed that we had to take the break. And we are ever ready to come with you to the consulting room where you bring all your questions and all your issues, and we can, especially concerning your health and all your medical issues, that we'll be able to help you. And every show we try to bring experts who would give you the best possible opinions. So today I have with me in the studio Dr. Kweku Odroba, who is a medical officer, and joining us on Zoom is Mr. Emmanuel Frimpong Eje. He's a biomedical scientist. Hello, Brahima. So you are both welcome to the consulting room.
Thank you.
Today we are talking about marriage and how to medically interpret marriage. Why must we even think about marriage in medical sense? Well, I'm sure as the show goes on, we'll be able to know whether it's actually good to think about marriage in the medical sense and all of that. So, as usual, we have cocoa milk always sponsoring us. If you want the best milk that is natural, that is additive free, it's good for everybody, from babies all the way to the elderly. Everybody can take it, pregnant women, and especially those that have lactose intolerance. You can take it because it's a plant-based milk. It's made from real coconuts, so you don't have any issues with having stomach upset and all of that. We are going to go on a very short break. We'll come back. We'll hear from one of our viewers. She brought her story and we want to share it with you, and the experts will also give us their take on that. Do well to stay with us when we come back.
Dairy-free coconut milk. Cocoa dairy-free coconut milk is a fully plant-based milk, non-curdling in tea or coffee, and it's a lovely treat with any breakfast beverage or meal. It contains calcium and vitamin D2 for strong teeth and bones, and vitamin B12 to help boost your blood for vitality. Cocoa is 100% vegetarian and is approved by the Vegetarian Society of UK. It's also lactose and dairy-free, which is good even for people with lactose intolerance. Cocoa, get one today. Cocoa dairy-free coconut milk. Nature's health at your doorstep. For bulk purchases, contact 027-444-0180. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA. Cocoa dairy-free coconut milk.
Saturday, 28 May 2022 is Hope Channel Offering Day in all Seventh-day Adventist churches in Southern Ghana Union.
Si di alafadeka, si di blato, si di blave, hoyi konatenya kwakpere Hope TV nchi eye watenya ano kwakpere mianchi nyanya majiraro ba mano kwakpere Hope TV nchi lechi shia lechi ple ngujojode be Hope TV na nogbenami.
And I trust said this year 2022 onyame be ye amana broso onyame won hira wo omu ekwan ma wo ofefre bia obefre no otwedi ampo nyame amana nya adom bebre. Every door that is locked or closed in your life, I pray that the Lord will open that door so that blessings will flow like a stream in your life. Your life will never be the same. Your brabe dani biara onyame be hira wo.
Let's all donate generously so we can purchase an outside broadcast van to help share God's good news to change lives. Hope Channel Ghana, we are here to communicate a refreshing God to a thirsty generation.
You're welcome back to the consulting room. So I know you know that you can always send us your questions and your messages on 055-968-0066. And just like that's how we got this pretty lengthy passage from one of our viewers. She says, I am a young woman of marriageable age, fair, sweet, adorable, pretty, bubbly, and adorable. Well, I've waited patiently on the Lord for a life partner, and God has been good to me and brought me my gift in the form of a man. I am happy. I am on cloud 9, awaiting the day I will publicly open my mouth and say I do whilst reciting the wedding vow. The thought of this lifetime event and the joy of being seen and called Mrs. gives me goosebumps. I simply cannot wait for my day. But I have a problem. It is giving me sleepless nights, and it's driving me crazy. It is inhibiting my thought process and it's stealing my joy away. And this is my problem. So I visited a well-respected pastor in my church to inform him of my wedding and his expected role in the event, as well as seek his blessings. To my surprise, he told me that couples of the same blood group do have difficulty when trying to conceive, and this is pulling brakes on my journey ahead because I want to taste pregnancy, childbirth, and be called mama. This is the anticipation of my husband to be too. Dear consulting room, are my worries justified? Am I being paranoid for nothing? How true is the statement? What necessary tests are required for would-be couples and what is their significance? I need to set my mind at ease and your consult is very much needed. Please help me. Anonymous Miss X, hopefully to become Mrs. X. So, Dr. Odroba.
Yes.
Must she be worried? Do we actually need to do some of these tests as the lady is asking before we get married?
Yes. Good evening, first of all, viewers. It is important to know the state of your health before you venture into marriage, because other than the fact that your health is your wealth, your health is also going to impact on your family. Mm-hmm. So you have to make sure that you are in tip-top shape at least, or you are not going to be a burden at least for a period of time, you know,
well,
before you enter the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there are tests that are important to be done.
Okay.
To enter marriage.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, Mr. J, if you can hear us, Mr. J is joining us on Zoom. Okay, so before Mr. J joins us, you are married, Doc.
I am.
I'm very happy for you. Well, so what are some of the general considerations, like generally, what should people look before they choose a partner? Well, it could be medically, socially, any maybe you could use your personal experience. We don't mind.
Okay, so I think when it comes to medically, those are facts. But when it comes to the rest, those are a bit subjective. So general considerations, is the person someone you are endeared to?
Please, we don't understand English so much, so break it down for us.
Okay, so is the person someone that you always want to be around? Okay. Is the person, I found this very important, the person your friend? Because marriage is a long journey. There has to be that baseline of friendship. Otherwise, I've been told by my seniors in marriage that your marriage will just fly and then crash. Okay. So there has to be that baseline marriage. I mean, obviously looks comes into play because the person has to be attractive to you before you even. Okay, so it's not that the person has to be a beautiful pageant or model. The person has to be attractive to you. Yes, they say beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. So what I see and think might be beautiful might not necessarily be your spec for beauty. So beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. So based on what you want, is the person attractive to you? Fine. Those are the general considerations. Also, if you feel the person is financially stable, because I mean, unless you have a job that's earning like 5 or 6 figures in this modern day Ghana, you need, I mean, a second source of income to be able to support the family. I don't think, you know, as a young person, it would be prudent to saddle yourself with the whole financial burden. So at least someone should be in to help you, you know, support you with your children's expenses. So this goes both ways, I guess. It goes both ways. I mean, the children is not just my children, it's not just her children, it's our children. So we have to be able to split the costs and then, you know, raise the children. Socially, is the person, does the person have good ties or good relationships with people around them? Does the person have good relationships at the workplace? Does the person have good relationships outside work, you know, at home, at school, wherever? There has to be that baseline good relationships, because it sort of gives you an idea as to how the person is formed, you know, whether the person is sound mind. All right, so Mr. J.
Hello.
You're welcome to the consulting room once again.
Thank you.
Please, how are you and how is
messing up, but it's stable at the moment.
Well, I pray it continues to be stable so that you can give us all your expertise. So, Dr. Odroba and I were just talking about the general considerations one should have in choosing a life partner or a spouse. If you have any take on that,
Okay, for choice of spouse, I think your first consideration should be love, and your other considerations should be long term. Usually, what we tend to do is we get blinded by love, and we just use that as the only yardstick in choosing our partner. But it goes beyond that. In the future, it's likely, especially in our setting, it's likely you're going to have children. You have the financial muscle to cater for these kids. In the future, definitely there are going to be moments that your spouse will not be well. Are you sure you're going to cushion your spouse during those moments? And there are other factors that you need to consider. Okay. So I think it should go beyond just love, and you should look into the future to whenever you are choosing a partner. Okay.
All right. Thank you. So we are in the consulting room. We've spoken about the general things to take into consideration. What should we take into consideration medically? Because yes, we are in the consulting room. Okay.
Like I was saying, you need to know your status of health, and you need to know that you are, should I say, medically fit to enter marriage. Okay. So I think one mistake a lot of people do, especially in our setting in Africa, here is a lot of people don't know very little or very basic things about their state of health.
Okay.
For example, if you go to the Americas or if you go to Europe, if you ask someone randomly on the street your blood group, the person is likely to tell you an answer.
Yeah.
But with us, it seems to...
It sounds weird.
Yeah, it sounds very
someone,
weird. If you ask someone your blood group, they are like A or AA or some... You see, they mix blood group and genotype.
Yeah.
People don't know their blood... They don't know their HIV status. They've never tested. They don't know... They don't even know something like their cholesterol levels. They don't know anything. Okay, so it's important to at least have a background of medical tests that you've done.
Okay. One
most important thing that we have to look out for, especially in our setting, is sickle cell disease.
Okay.
So you have to know your genotype. As for that one, even if you don't know your blood group, know your genotype.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Because, like I said, the health of one family member impacts everybody in the family.
Yeah.
If be it a parent or a child, if the person is ill, you can't say you are checking the person. No, you have to take care of the person. So you have to make sure you are not putting the person in the line to be ill. Okay, so you have to know your sickling status. Is it AA? Is it AS? Is it
AC?
AC? Is it or is it A thalassemia? You know, you have to know that, and then you use that to target who you are going for. I mean, if you are AA, fine, you go around waving the white handkerchief because you have like a free pass. But if you are like AS or AC, then you go crossing fingers. You know, I know a friend of mine who is SC. I mean, she split up with her then boyfriend because he was AS.
Ouch.
Well, she had to do it.
Yeah.
So
it's
it all worked out well.
Well.
Yeah. Know your blood group, because in case of emergency, sometimes you can be a blood donor to a family member.
Well, we'll go into the nitty-gritties in a bit. I was told by my dad that in the past, they used to go to the families of your partners before you get married. Then they go to the villages or the towns that they live in, go and ask if you have bodam ni or kwatani or I think that was how they used to sort out medical issues in the past. But now we have technology and science to help us with that, I guess.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. AJ.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. AJ, do you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Yes. So please, do you think one's health can have an influence on the person's spouse, the person's children, the family, and probably the society at large?
Yes, of course. One's health condition has a toll on the spouse. And just as I stated from the beginning of my presentation, that in our setting where you are expected to have a child or children when you get married, it also has a bearing on the children and also a bearing on society in general. So it's important that you undertake some.
So what kind of bearing does it have?
Which, doctor talked about sickle cell. So I'm going to mention other ones in the course of our presentation.
Okay.
There are other tests that you need to perform. Marriage shouldn't be on the selfish side of one of the parties. So it's better that you let your partner know your health status concerning some basic parameters. And also you make sure that your partner will also check for these parameters to know whether they are also medically fit, because it shouldn't be one-sided. As you check, your partner too should check.
Okay, all right. So I was asking how how does the health have an yes, you've stated that it has an influence. Is it a positive or how exactly does it have an influence on our spouses, our children in future, the family and society? How does it have this impact on us?
It does have an impact in the sense that every illness, if you are going to treat it, is not free.
Yes.
So it has the financial impact. It has the psychological impact.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
We don't talk about
much.
that a lot, but it has a big psychological impact. Sure. There are people who are scarred for life because they've seen family members that have maybe a stroke.
Yes.
So when they see others with stroke, they cringe. It has a physical impact because some of these diseases come with various deformities that it comes with. So the impacts are actually many from many different angles, and whichever way you look at it, it's very valid.
Okay, so I'm sure if you married somebody that has a good family history, they don't get hypertension, they live long, I think you would also feel good as a person that my children don't have to go to hospital so much unless for probably some petty malaria or viral or
oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it sets your mind at ease with respect to something, but it's, family history is not necessarily because it wasn't in the family, it can't happen.
Yeah.
It just gives you sort of a free pass for a while.
Okay.
The rest is up to you, and then, cross your fingers and hope, sort of.
Okay. So, Mr. J, I asked Dr. Odroba to share with us some of the general considerations he made in choosing a partner. And I know you are married because you are married to a sister of mine. What were the considerations, if you don't mind sharing them with us?
Love is key. Love is key. Love is the major consideration I factored into my choices in choosing your sister. Yeah. But I said earlier that it goes beyond that. You shouldn't be blinded by love to the extent that there are conditions you feel are not the best health-wise. And in the name of love, you still go and get married to the person. You start having issues with your spouse. You realize that love you profess so loudly is now dead. You give birth to children. You are always at the hospital.
Yeah.
And it also becomes an issue. So it goes beyond the love. Just as I said, you also look into the future.
All right. Well, that was just pulling your legs from afar. Anyway, so we are going to go on our very next break, and when we come back, we'll go into some specific tests and screenings one has to do, and their significance, these tests and screenings have on our choice of spouses or partners. So please stay with us, and we'll be back from the break shortly.
Dairy-free coconut milk. Cocoa dairy-free coconut milk. It's a fully plant-based milk, non-curdling in tea or coffee, and it's a lovely treat with any breakfast beverage or meal. It contains calcium and vitamin D2 for strong teeth and bones, and vitamin B12 to help boost your blood for vitality. Cocoa is 100% vegetarian and is approved by the Vegetarian Society of UK. It's also lactose and dairy-free, which is good even for people with lactose intolerance. Cocoa, get one today. Cocoa dairy-free coconut milk. Nature's health at your doorstep. For bulk purchases, contact 027-444-0180. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA. Cocoa dairy-free coconut milk.
Hi, I am Efia Sewa. a worker, a wife, a mom, and most importantly, God-fearing woman. Life is all about finding a happy balance between work, friends, and family. Love at home is very important to me. That is why I bring to you an exciting talk show that is engaging and informative, with discussions about issues facing today's homes looked at from the Christian's perspective. Join me every Tuesday on Hope Channel right here at 8 p.m. with a panel of experts to help strengthen homes and inspire hope.
Yeah, welcome back to the consulting room. Today we are talking about marriage and the medical side of marriage. You don't just jump into marriage. I think that point has been made on several platforms. But then today we are just looking at what you should do medically as a person and what you should do as a partner before you get into marriage. So Mr. J would just go into some of the tests we typically have to do before we consider marriage with a person.
Okay, so let's zoom straight into the lab.
Okay, your field.
And we will try as much as possible not to be technical, because we know people from all backgrounds are listening to us. So we will try to calm down as much as we can.
Yes.
So basically, about testing, there is a myriad array of tests that could be performed for anyone who wants to get married. That's for the couple. And there are pastors who send patients or clients to us, and they request lots of lab tests which aren't salient at the moment.
Okay.
So I'll just mention a few of them that are very pertinent, then we will delve a little bit into some of them. So some of the tests that we need to perform when we want to get married include your blood group. Both of them should know their blood group. Then also, as Doc mentioned, you should know your sickle cell status. We call it sickling or sickle cell status. Then there are other serological tests that you need to perform.
Mr. J, you said you won't go technical. You just said serology.
HIV, syphilis, hepatitis B, hepatitis C. So these are tests that are very important. We call them primary tests that you need to perform when you want to get married. There are other tests, but just as I said, they are not pertinent at the moment. So the exigency of these tests are what are needed at the moment that you want to go forward and marry. There are some who go to the extent of requesting for pregnancy tests for their clients to 6 months before they get married, 3 months before they get married, and 1 month before they get married. So we could also add pregnancy tests. But besides that, I think the rest that I've mentioned are okay for any couple who want to get married.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. J. So, Doc, with the blood group, why should we know our blood groups as a couple or a partner? No, the question I want to ask before we go to why some of these tests. At what point in a relationship do I have to check these things with my partner? Well, this question is both to Doc and Mr. J. At what point in the relationship do we wait till when we start counseling? I think that's how it's called. In the Adventist church, you go and see home and family life. I don't know with the other churches too. So do you wait till you go and see the department that is in charge of helping you get married Or at what point in the relationship do you do these things?
That's
well,
a tricky one. Mr. J,
Mr. J.
Do you have an answer for her yet?
Hello?
Yeah, so I was asking that at what point in the relationship would it be needful to do this test? Do you wait till you've done the proposal? Some people do beach proposals and all these things. Or you say it's the very first date you people have. At what point do you have to know these things?
I believe if our systems were working, these basic tests that you should know already even before you meet someone. So before I met my wife, at least if she didn't know hers, I should know mine, at least my blood group, my sickle cell status. I think waiting to the point where you are, in quotes, so in love before you go and do these tests is what usually causes much of the pain when you tell this couple to break up. So I believe as soon as you meet yourself, or even before that, you should do this test. You don't wait till you are so into the relationship at the point when we are telling you to end it because things will not be well health-wise, then you can't end it. So you should know these before you get so deep into the relationship.
So do you ask what is your blood group or what is your sickling status at the very first day you meet the person, or probably the first week or something?
I think with everything it comes with tact. Okay. It's not everything that you just go and ask. Like Mr. J was saying, I agree with him that it's something you should know even before you enter a relationship. And like I said earlier, if you are like genotype AA, okay, you know how I are free. You can marry an SS, SC, and I mean your children won't have
the luxury
issues, at least like the person is. But you should know it, okay? And at some point in the relationship, and usually should come at a very early point, you know, your statuses, is it compatible?
Okay.
If it's not compatible, at least the butterflies are there and everything, but you can spray them, they'll die, we move on, you get. Or, I mean, you don't wait till, I feel that's a mistake a lot of people make. They wait till they begin counseling before they do these tests. And at the point in time, I remember I was sitting down one day, I had clothes from work in my room, I was tired, I was pressing my phone or something, and then one lady called me, and she sounded so downhearted. I'm like, what's the problem? And she was like, oh, she wanted to ask me a question. I'm like, okay, what is it? And she goes like, her fiancé and her were asked to go and do some tests, and it came out that they are both AS. And she didn't say boyfriend, she said fiancé. There's a difference.
Yeah.
So there's someone that you are already on the marriage path with. So she was asking me, questions, like what are the possibilities, when you get pregnant, and I had to tell her the truth, like AS, there's a 25% chance per every pregnancy.
That is what people do. That's the mistake.
Yeah, people think it is
all for
SS, but that's not. It's 25% in every pregnancy that you have. So you could have all SS, no SS, a mixture.
All AA.
So it's really not an exact science. So she was asking me all of these. I had to tell her. At the end of the conversation, she sounded so downhearted because, I know she knew what she had to do. And, it was very sad. But it could have been avoided if this conversation had come up far earlier in the relationship. Yeah.
Well. I think we all have experienced people, especially with the sickle cell sickle cell thing that is going on. We know people that have given birth to children who have sickle cell disease, and when you see how they suffer every week.
True.
And I know a couple that has just 2 children, and both children are sickle cell. They have sickle cell disease. They like the wife is practically living in the hospital. Every other, like they fall ill
interchangeably,
and it's so difficult for her.
Yeah.
Once I had a personal conversation with her, and she said she regrets marrying the man. This is, and she was not saying it because the man had done anything bad or the man wasn't providing. Yes, they had the money and everything, but the stress
quality
alone,
of life has dropped. So,
and she had to stop working and become the caretaker of her children. So, well, if you don't take anything home at all, at least know that for ASAS, it's a no-go zone.
Not just ASAS, but if you have A and you have your second letter is not anything other than an A, please avoid someone else with anything other than an A. Because you could say AS and someone will be like, oh, I'm AS, he's AC, we can get married. Yeah. No, you have sickle cell. Or someone will be like, oh, I'm AS, he's A beta thal. Then, there's S beta thal. So, so if you are AA, fine. Yeah. If you are A and something other than an A, please and please again, avoid someone else who is something other than an A.
Okay. Mr. J, if the network is still favorable for us, if you can hear us. Anyway, we'll just go on with the conversation. So he spoke about the sickling test. So some people don't know that there are 2. Yeah. So if you can explain it to us.
Okay. So there's 2. There's a sickling test, which is actually faster, which is more like a screening, and there's the HB electrophoresis. So the sickling test is just either the presence or absence of sickling blood cells. So usually when you look at the results, it's either positive or negative.
Yes.
If it's negative, okay, then chances are you're AA.
No.
Chances. I said chances.
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Okay, so chances.
I have a personal.
Oh no. I mean that's why I'm using the key chances.
Well,
so then that becomes like a screening. So then if you do the HB electrophoresis, that gives you a more detailed, so you are either AA or you are AC or you are AS or you are A thalassemia. You get.
Yeah.
So you need to. I think that if you are going to do it, just go for the HB electrophoresis.
The more detailed one.
The more detailed one. Yes.
Because you can be deceived.
You can be deceived. Like that's what I'm saying. Chances are, so you can be deceived. Yes.
So for this one, I was actually yes, I'm a doctor.
Yeah. We've seen things.
I thought I was AA because I did my sickling test in first year. Well, I didn't really have much of the understanding. First year you are basically like every other person, and they told you your sickling is negative. Yeah, so I thought it was AA. Well, it turns out I'm AC. So it was when I learned about, I think about second year or third year, I learned about it. But even that, I waited till first year house job before I did the HB electrophoresis.
Yes.
And I found out that I was AC. Yeah, and well.
Oh well. So now you know where to pass and where not to pass.
Okay, so aside the sickling too, hepatitis, the hepatitis screening, A, B, C. Why do we need to do that too?
Okay, usually hepatitis B and C are what we screen for with respect to marital pre-marital screening. They are important because of the long-term. It's not a disease that like malaria, you have it, you go to the
3
pharmacy
days.
or 3 days, you are fine. It's a disease that stays with you a very long time.
Yeah.
After that whole long period of the disease, the damage that it does to your liver, one, can cause disease. I think the long term or the end prognosis is, or for some cases, is liver cancer.
Yeah.
Out of the chronic hepatitis.
Okay.
Other than that, it can be spread, to your partner.
Yeah.
Sexually. So.
And for women to their babies, I guess. To
their babies, yes,
yeah.
the vertical transmission. So, yeah, so you need to know this thing. So that in case you are a woman who has it, then we have to initiate the prevention of mother-to-child transmission protocol so that, we lower the chances of your baby getting it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, blood grouping. You remember our story. She said, they said if they have the same blood group, they'll have issues conceiving. What's the importance of blood group before we address this question for our lady?
Blood group is important because, in case of emergency, one, I mean, if I know my wife's blood group, we enter a hospital in an emergency setting. What do you know her blood group? Oh yes, she's A positive. Run to the blood bank, look for. But if you don't know, and you go to a hospital, now have to spend time. I won't say waste time, because sometimes it's good to confirm.
Yeah.
But you now have to spend time to find when you can actually save time.
At least
and
30
save
minutes to 1 hour.
You can save that time, in saving the person's life. That 20 minutes can be important. In fact, 1 second is very important.
Yeah. I guess so.
Yeah.
So about the blood groups and their incompatibility, what's the whole
Hello,
thing
mommy.
about? Mr. J. Mr. J, you're welcome back. Okay. So, Doc.
Yes. So let's look at it this way. There's the O blood group, there's the A blood group, there's the B blood group, and there's the AB blood group.
The special ones.
Okay, so and each of these have their negative and positive.
Yes.
The negative and positive is what we call the rhesus factor. Just let's keep it this. People say O's are universal donors, but there's a catch to this. Let's say O is a universal donor, yes, but the true universal donor is O negative.
Yeah.
But O positive is a universal donor to only positive.
All positives.
So you can have A positive, B positive. O positive can donate to all of these groups. O positive can't receive from any other group other than O positive.
Yeah.
And O negative.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Once in their life.
Yes, once in their, an O negative. Then we have the various blood groups, A, B. So like AB can receive from A, can receive from B, can receive from O.
We are the special ones.
Yeah, you are the selfish ones. You receive everything
we are
but
the
don't
special ones, please.
Yeah, so those peculiarities, I mean, if you know everybody's blood group in the family, I mean, it helps. In case, there's an emergency, you don't need to tell your story for the whole world to hear. You just sort it out among the family and then we're fine.
Yeah. So about compatibility in terms of conceiving.
Conceiving.
Yeah. Is there anything about blood groups not?
So I was, funny enough, I was doing some research and I didn't seem to come across anything that comes against people of the same blood group, being unable to conceive. Okay. There are peculiarities though when it comes to people who have the negative resource when they get pregnant. When they get pregnant and their children are positives, then it creates a bit of a complication in the pregnancy. But even with that one, it can be sorted out.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Mr. J, I think you're back with us. Mr. J? Anyway. back to Dr.
Hello, I can hear you now.
Okay, Mr. J. Your background has changed more.
Yes, my network is messing up, so
you have to go and climb the coconut tree.
It seems so.
Okay, so we were talking with Dr. Odroba about the importance of these tests. If you can give us your take on the importance of these tests, so that we can go on with the show.
Okay, so let me start from blood grouping. I think our prelude to the discussion was a question from a lady about a blood group.
Yes.
She wanted to know whether people of the same blood group could get married because her pastor told her it's not possible. Actually, there isn't any finding that if you are of the same blood group with someone, you can't get married to them. I don't know why this blood group thing has been circulating here and there, to the extent even exercising and diets, people attribute it to blood grouping and a whole lot. But what I can say about blood grouping, it's mainly about the resource factor. So the resource factor
Mr. J. Okay, so Doc, back to you. I think we are having a bit of network issues. So he was actually just adding to your point that there isn't any thing that says O and O cannot get married. And
if, funny enough, if that thing was true, it would be a problem because majority of the world is O positive.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I know AB positives are quite rare.
Yes.
We are very rare. We are special. We can collect from
If you say AB positive, what do you say about AB negative?
Those people, they are... Anyway, that's just on the lighter side. So, yeah,
majority of the world is O positive. So if that were true, it will really be a big problem.
Okay, so we've started... We know our blood groups. Let's say me and Mr. A. We know our blood group. Or me and Mr. O. Yes, we know our blood groups. We know our cycling status. We know our HIV status. We know our syphilis, VDRL. We know our hepatitis, and we are not compatible in one of these. Not I can't give a specific because you told us some of the complications. Do we necessarily have to end it?
Well, in life, everything has pros and cons. Let me speak from the doctor side and the human side. Let me separate it. Speaking as a doctor, truth of the matter is, think about the generations behind or the generations that are going to bring down. What things are you passing to them? Are you going to put them through pain, through, because the disease is not something that's not necessarily just sickle cell, but HIV, all of these things have, they have a very big psychological aspect, and we always tend to forget that even children have psyche. How are they going to grow up? How are they going to think about it? When I was growing up, I was always in the hospital. I was always in pain. There are people who hate their parents because of this. Are you going to be in a position where you are going to bring forth children that will hate you just because you didn't make a choice?
We're in love.
Hey.
Well, dog.
Would you want to bear children that would hate you? I don't think you would want that, But as a human being, I understand that it can be very difficult.
Yeah.
It can be very, very difficult. But then again, my human being self is going to back my doctor self and say,
Yeah,
think
you
about
are one person. You cannot separate yourself.
Just think about your children. Let me just leave it there.
Well, so we are now getting questions from our viewers, so we'll tackle them and see. Someone who is cycling positive and they still want to get married, what advice will you give to that person? From Josephine Ajiman.
The person is cycling positive.
I think she means both of them are cycling positive and they still want to get married.
And they still want to get married.
Or let me not think for the person.
Okay.
Let me read it as it is. Someone whose cycling is positive and they still want to get married. What advice will you give to that person? Okay, so I think it's just her. Yeah.
Okay, so my advice to that person is, and I said it earlier, you have to do an HB electrophoresis. Yeah. You know that it's 2 letters, A and another letter. Is your second letter A? If your second letter is not A, then please again, for the sake of your children, for the sake of your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, those after them, please and please again, avoid someone else who has another second one that is not an A.
Okay. Right.
Yes.
I think Mr. AJ is here with us now. So there's another question, if you can hear us, Mr. AJ. The question is that if same blood group couple commit abortion, can it affect the lady's future fertility? Yeah. Mr. J. Okay. Doc.
Okay. So can it affect their future?
Yeah, so the question is, if a same blood group commits abortion, I think Mr. J is back with us now. Can it affect the lady's future fertility in the same blood group? I
think I was talking about this blood group issue before my network messed up.
Yeah.
So abortion or no abortion, ability to get married to your spouse or not, just as I said, it's not really about the blood group. Let me be snappy about this before the network messes up again. So it's more of the resource factor. And even in that case, it's usually when you have a woman that is resource negative and married to a man who is resource positive. And even with that, I would say it is not really a problem now. And the problem does not even come when you have your first child. It is when you have subsequent children. So in this case, when a woman is resource negative and is expecting a baby who is resource positive, the mother's blood might produce substances. They are called anti-D antibodies, but I don't need to go into the technicalities. They might produce these substances that will act against the resource factor of the baby. We call it hemolytic disease of the newborn. So it is about this resource incompatibility that we usually dwell on. And in that case, you can even give an injection of which it will mop up and stop producing antibodies against their mother. So it's not really an issue. So
blood group is not really an indication
blood
whether...
group is not an issue now. With advancement in medicine, it's not an issue now. So if a guy is telling your sister, our blood group is the same, our blood group is different, so we can't get married, tell the person is just finding ways to leave her. Let me add a quick one too about hepatitis B too.
Yes, please.
Now hepatitis B, it's actually not an issue too now, because your partner can get vaccinated. You can have normal sexual intercourse without barriers. And when you give birth to, the baby can be given an injection of which nothing is going to happen. So it is also not really an issue. So I want to deal with that one too. If there is any question that has come to Now that my network is on, I want to answer all the
other
ones
question that came
before.
was with the sickling status. What the person can do as an AS as she is looking for marriage.
So the overarching principle is one of them. I think doctor talked about genotyping.
Yes.
He talked about. So what we do at the lab is you first do a primary test. We get to know whether you are sickle cell positive or negative.
Yeah.
If you are negative, mainly or usually, it means you are AA, you are free to go. But if you are positive, it means it could be any of the other bands and when we perform electrophoresis. Actually, now there are even cassettes that you can do sample tests to know your hemoglobin.
Okay.
And in this, the overarching principle is one of you two, that's the couple. One should be AA.
Okay. Yes.
I think it's a principle that
Dr.
works.
Drew
If
also
one of you
mentioned
is
that.
AA, yes. If one of you is AA, I think it's okay.
Okay. All right. So before your network gets bad, then again, any concluding remarks for our viewers?
What I'm going to tell our viewers is you don't wait till you are getting married. It's important you visit the hospital at any time to check these basic things because your blood group does not change. If it was performed well, it does not change. So if you are A positive, you are going to be A positive for the rest of your life.
Okay.
Your sickle cell status too does not change. Your GCS-PD status too does not change. So these things, I think everyone should at least visit the hospital, do these basic tests before they get a partner, then they fall deeply in love and it becomes an issue for them to break up.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. J. So, Doc, concluding remarks.
I would also buttress what he said. Don't wait, because you know hot premium tears, they will be shed. You decide when they will be shed.
Hey, Doc.
Oh yeah, no. You decide when they will be shed. Would they be shed early? Would they be shed late? But if they are shed late, well, it's not just you who is crying. The whole family is crying with you.
Yeah.
You get. Also, I think we should all make it a point to know our basics.
Health. Yeah.
Know, your blood group, your sickling status, especially if you are planning on getting married sometime in the future. Know your hepatitis B and C status. And I mean, if you are a little adventurous, make sure that you know your STD statuses as well. If you are not, well. But at least do it once and then make sure that you are in line and then keep everything going.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Drew. Viewers, the Law Chamber would also do the legal aspect of this topic that we had. We've been told that marriage has different considerations before you get into it. So we were looking at the medical part. Join the Law Chamber on Thursday at 6:30 p.m. as they also go into the legal aspect, and I'm sure you'll be well equipped to go into this blessed union. Also, as you are preparing to get married, be drinking more cocoa milk and drink a lot of water. Do all your basic health labs. Check your blood group, check your sickling status. Don't be like me. Know it into details. Yes, and don't say mihuyanka. Do well to join us next week, Monday, and we'll bring you more captivating issues, especially about our health. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Have a good evening.
Christ is King. Hallelujah. Christ is King. Hallelujah, Christ is King.